All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully everybody
Good morning.
had an opportunity to eat the lovely breakfast. Oh, it will be picked up at 9:30.
Yeah.
So if you are going to continue to eat, please do so in a way that is not disruptive.
Amen.
Don't be disruptive either.
I assume everybody can hear me.
Needs to be a little louder.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
and you're at the front. Okay, so welcome to what is our last SLEC meeting before 2024 convention.
We all
Congratulations, you all made it. We will, well, we've called to order. The next thing is roll call and any changes to SLEC. So if you want to use this opportunity to get any last minute food, that would be good. Try to get that done before we actually start business. Madam Secretary?
Whitney Billiard,
Here.
Kyle Russell, Kate Prather, here. Michelle Wigington, here. Jesse Cowart,
Here.
Jeff Miller,
Here.
Scott Talley,
Here.
Aaron Ramos,
Here.
Billy Pierce,
He's here.
He's here.
I don't know where he went.
Jody Cole,
Get a boot.
No, he said that for.
Paul Thompson,
Oh.
Paul Thompson,
Later.
Nathan Polsky,
Here.
Daniel Bledsoe,
Here.
Jocelyn Canty, Amanda Gibbs,
Present.
Mike Dooling,
Present.
Elizabeth Miller, here. Mike Coogan,
Here.
Stephen Haskett,
Here.
Ted Brown,
Here.
Carol Unsicker, here. Kevin Hale,
Here.
David Bradley,
Here.
Patrick Mitchell,
Here.
Paul Dar,
Here.
Nathan Garza,
Here.
Nolan Schmidt,
Here.
Lex Green,
Here.
Renee Perez, Sean Sparkman,
Here.
Joe Roberts,
Here.
Joe Burns,
Here.
Darren Pollock,
Take 'em.
Nikki Brashear,
You home?
all right, Austin,
Here.
okay, and Nikki, Frank Lozano,
Present.
Bernard Johnson, Dave Moreno,
Here.
Oh, Brandon.
John Wilford,
Here.
Jack Westbrook.
Here.
So,
Oh.
Bernard said,
Yeah. I have him marked out for now,
yeah.
but nobody's
He's the only
there.
one that says.
We have no
Good to see him. I like that area.
All right, so we'll just be Eddie's for a minute while she figures out any changes to SLEC, figures out our vote requirement numbers.
The body consists of 41 people, 37 of those are present. Quorum is 21, 2/3 is 28, and 4/5 is 33.
Nice. Very good. Nice evening.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will, I don't know that we have any guests today, but this is the here we do. The opportunity for our morning public comment. At this time, we invite anyone who is not a SLEC member to share with us anything they would like to, introduce themselves, especially if we have any candidates in the room who are not SLEC members. This is an opportunity for you to address the group if you would like to. There will be another opportunity for this afternoon before we adjourn. So is there anybody in the gallery, any guests here in attendance today who have anything to say at this time? Okay. Blowing through this, y'all. All right, moving on to the adoption of the agenda. The only change it's not substantive is that Kyle Ward will not be giving the communications report. That will be Jeff Miller,
Here.
right? Where is he?
Oh, yeah.
There you are.
There he is.
Do you agree?
Water?
Jeff doesn't drink.
Good old H2O.
Pardon me? Mr. Hill moves to adopt the agenda as proposed. Let's second it. Any objection to adopting this agenda that you've all seen? I'm scrolling and it's not happening over there.
And then it does.
Thank you. You can't read my mind? All right, any objection to adopting this agenda? All right, you've got an agenda. Previous meetings minutes.
Doesn't been on the net for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about it? I move to adopt the previous meeting minutes as.
Any objection to adopting the previous meeting minutes? All right, done. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to officer reports. I did not submit my outline as I normally do. There was not a whole lot basically throughout the holidays. Personnel and organization stuff, we had a couple more county chairs come on board. I think I finalized the last one of those yesterday or the day before. That was Kate. Very intensive interview process, and we had to really get to know her.
They had me sweating, man.
There's one more.
Yes.
There's one more.
Oh, there's one more coming.
Cornell.
Have I seen that one yet?
I think I know I notes, but I think either we're waiting on notes or the notes have just gotten in.
Okay, I don't see it in my inbox, but okay, so perhaps one more then, and that's it for this session. Okay, and we do pick those up again immediately after convention. Is that right?
That's how the current goes.
Okay. All right. We did bring on, I believe, one new staff member in this last
RJ.
3 months. That was RJ. London County Chair, right?
Yes.
And is going on as a volunteer coordinator. So. Yes. Okay. Outreach and media. We've had not a lot of media inquiries. I think Comms Department might talk about this a little bit. I know that Kyle Ward had received a couple inquiries from Ballotpedia, just different organizations wanting our candidate lists. I've seen some of those as well, so not much else going on there. People trying to figure out who candidates are, and then of course us having to explain to them why ours aren't showing up, on public lists anywhere because we don't participate in primaries. So that's always fun.
But we pay for them.
This time of year, correct? Continuing to monitor third-party activity. I'm sure some of you are hearing more and more about several other political parties that are attempting to come online. Of course, they're going to learn real quick in Texas that it's going to cost $2 million to get ballot access, so they'll have fun with that. Continuing to confer with related to the legal stuff. The Association of Libertarian Educators was also at LibertyCon International this past earlier this month.
Yeah.
Earlier this month, and they did very well. They were the most popular booth. I'm proud to say I was actually a member of that group, the most popular booth in the whole place. So that was kind of fun, and got a lot more attention from libertarian educators out in the wild. So if any of you know of any people like that, it's lp.org. I think it's /ALE, ALE. If you know anybody who would be interested in joining that group. The Texas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty is having some of you may have seen that, they're having their annual conference, which we did like a bit of a pub crawl with some of them last year around this time. They're doing that on March 2nd. This time it's going to be in Fort Worth.
Nice.
The specifics are in my email. I can pass those on as appropriate, as they are coalition partners. So we want to make sure we're supporting them as much as we can. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the center No, it's conservatives concerned about the death penalty is also going to be a subsidiary of Texas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. And they're also trying to start a chapter in Texas. And I think their hub is going to be like the DFW area for now. So I know that they're trying to reach out to some of the counties up there. I keep getting messages from them for Ellis County, I guess because Ellis is not affiliated. And so those are coming to me. Does that make sense?
Ellis might be affiliated.
Okay, either way, they're coming to me. So I know that those two organizations are sending things to the counties up in that area. So maybe be watching for those and support as you can. The only other thing that I will share, it came to my attention this morning, a couple people approached me about awards committee for this coming convention. And that's something we might want to consider after this meeting is just putting together our awards committee, handle the nominations and designations for awards that we would want to give out at conventions. So just thinking about that. If you were on that committee before, be ready to answer. Mr. Johnson just walked in. And then thank you to Amanda, who has taken on the responsibility of working on our in memoriam video presentation. Unfortunately, that will probably be a lengthy one this time around. Yeah. Okay. That's it for me. Any questions?
To the parade.
Oh, yes, you're welcome. I did go to the Dallas County Parade, yes. So some county things I'm able to show up to, and they've been quite refreshing. Thank you for that. And you've got another one coming up.
Yeah, April 6th.
Okay. I'm sure you'll tell us about that during announcements later. All right. Any questions for me? All right. So, Vice Chair.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so most of the last few months since the last SLEC meeting, been working with Jody and the rest of the IT team to make the convention website. So the convention website is up. You can buy your convention tickets. We have the discounted hotel rates. Actually, just this morning, I got the link for the Omni. We have like only 4 rooms available. So I'll be posting that link shortly to the website. So first come, first serve on the rooms to the Omni. We created the Vote With Your Dollars campaign. That's been doing pretty well. A lot of donations to the different candidates. So that ends March 10th, right, Jody?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can donate up to $100 per candidate, per individual. So keep those coming in. And we'll be continuing to add big things to the convention website as the committee's reports get finalized. So just keep checking back, and we'll post updates in Discord as well as new things get added to the website. We moved to a new form solution called Zenforo. It's up. If you're having any issues with it, let me or Austin know, and we will address them. But so far, it seems to be working pretty well, and we haven't had any major issues. I helped perform some county chair interviews for Ward and Grimes counties, and I believe they both got approved. And then, I went to Kevin Hale's Give Congress Hill MLK Day Parade, where we threw out little airplanes, and then everyone seemed to really love our float and everything. And then I attended the Brazos County monthly meeting just the past weekend. Thank you.
You were mentioning the limit on the donations on the page for the Vote for $1.
Yeah.
I very well may have just missed it. I was checking on there. I didn't see any text about that. Is that on the donation page?
What's the text?
It's on the main page.
Yeah, it's on the.
Fundraiser.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I was looking up like
Yeah,
the limit this year.
And if someone goes over the limit, we're manually doing refunds.
Cool.
So if the numbers on that graph change, it's because someone donated more, because we've had a couple people donate.
Well, we're reaching out and we're asking them if they want to move that donation to another candidate or if they would like to keep it as a general fund, or any of those options before we have to. Yes, so.
Yeah, it is prominent on there. Each individual may donate a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 100 to the Vote with Your Dollars fundraiser candidate. Any donations over 100 will be refunded minus processing fees. It also notes up there that these totals and rankings are subject to change as refunds are issued for non-compliant contributions. We've also communicated with the candidates themselves about the policies regarding this so that they know why some of their numbers may be changing. And just so you know, the first two people to break the rule were two of the candidates themselves. As expected.
As expected, yes.
That was all.
Perfect.
We didn't have that last time.
More questions? No, we didn't. Any more questions?
They were testing the systems.
I heard Florida has made donations.
Are you doing it in the past? It was like per day, but you have them per day.
I don't recall that.
It's one time.
Not the most of me.
Yes.
Done. What was the question?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear her question.
She had a recollection that in the past when we did this, the limit was just per day. So every day the limit started over, and that's not the case.
Okay.
I mean, because we raised a lot of money last.
We did raise a lot of money.
It was not per day, I promise I was on that one.
Yeah, it was about 16,000 last
Yeah.
year.
And, let's
So
see if we
we're-
can break that record.
I think we're about like 7,000
Come on,
away.
Father.
Come on,
All right. Secretary report.
Nothing's really changed.
I'd like to see that.
I've been just saying stuff again.
Order.
The primary thing outside of my normal duties, or the more timely thing outside of my everyday duties, was getting notices to county chairs about district conventions. So all of that information got out. Hopefully they are working with their district executive committees to plan the time and location for those meetings. That's about it. Any questions?
When is the deadline for posting precinct convention?
Deadline for posting
10 days before? I was
Yeah.
thinking 30.
It's
Yikes.
Saturday,
Okay.
March 2nd, but you should treat it as Friday, March 1st, because
Yeah.
county offices aren't open on Saturdays.
Just do it on Monday.
Do it on Monday.
We're doing now. I have like 4 different counties who have actually already sent in confirmation of their posting notices.
Madam Chair, may I
Yes.
please have your county chairs send the precinct, county, and district convention info to the events calendar so we can post it on the website. As earlier the better, because last year everyone sent it in like on the last day, and it took me like 8 hours to input everything. So if we get them in, a few a day, then it'll make my job easier. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the secretary? Treasurer. Oh, no. Okay.
As you can see, there's no report. Yeah, I know. So we're still working on integration with our new credit card processor. We clearly have more transactions than we did 4 years ago when I first started. The manual hours to put into it is excruciating. And until we get integration, it'll take us a week to get everything caught up, get everything tagged correctly, and then it's just a matter of running the report and sending it out to everybody. If you would like to look at what we did as a really good summary of year end, because we did take the time to manually input transaction for transaction for TEC. We weren't going to do double manual entry. And that took hours. It actually took Jocelyn 3 days to come stay with me that whole weekend for us to just manually input for TEC.
Wow.
So it's in Ignite, TEC reports in Ignite for 2023. That's going to give you your summary of income and expenses. And that's, if you're curious about it, that's what you can look at. Obviously, you can go through it. And then we'll run the report. And as soon as we get integration, which I think I was told that it's going to be like in the next week, is what I heard last. Andrew, is that right?
I'll follow you with more information.
Sounds good. But as soon as we get the integration done, within a week of that, we will have all the reports that you need, and we'll have those out. We'll be caught up. that's pretty much all I have right now. Not even taking 5 minutes, I know, right?
We usually have to extend time for you. Any questions for the treasurer?
She's already answered my question about the donation situation.
Oh, and we are still waiting, but authorize, we've cut that off. We're waiting for everything to be downloaded, give us this massive report to where we can input that, and all of our recurring donations can just be brought over without everybody having to stop and restart. Is that correct? Yeah, we're waiting for it. They said 3 to 5 business days. I think it's been 4 business days at this point. He like twice a day. He's like, hey, can you check? So it's any minute now. We'll have that, and then you can say goodbye to authorize, and we'll just have one credit card processor. And yeah, that's it. That's where we're at.
Mr. Perez.
Yeah, just one other question. So are we still on a projected path for donations versus our budget?
Can't answer any of those questions without a report. I can't like any of my reports can't be generated. Yeah.
So we don't know where we are on the budget or anything.
And we might be able to speak to that when we get to that. All right, just to supplement, one thing I forgot to mention, obviously I'm continuing to work toward the state convention. Huge thanks to Jody. Just the amount of work that she's doing to get this convention ready. It's incredible. I didn't know there were that many hours in the day.
Yes.
Good job. Yes, tremendous work there. And then also Austin, thank you for heading out, getting things on the website. Kyle coordinating with that, and Amanda for helping with the graphics and all of the other things that you put out there. And then your team for making sure it all gets communicated. And everyone else who has been helping with that. It's a big, big project, and it'll be over soon. Okay, moving on then to staff reports. Andrew?
Morning section is going to go pretty quickly because Kate and Whitney already mentioned some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, but I'll add a little detail behind that. The biggest project I have in progress is still the Nation Builder implementation, bringing that back on board and bringing it up to speed. A lot of mess to clean up. The holidays took their usual toll on our ability to, on our bandwidth, on our ability to get stuff done. But we're back in action, and as Kate mentions, a lot of this stuff is this close to coming through. The data migration from authorized to Stripe, we're waiting on authorized. That should close next week. They will do an extraction of all of our data from based on our recurring subscriptions, and we'll get not only the fact of the subscription, but we'll get the historical data. So we'll get a complete dump of everything we've ever done and authorized into Nation Builder, which is going to help us a lot with our historical tracking, who our big donors are, who's been around, that kind of stuff. That will be a game changer for obvious reasons. Virginia, the development department, and for our finance department, Kate and Gosselin, that will be the end of an era a little bit, and give us a lot of data and a lot of data to clean up. As Kate mentioned, the integration with QuickBooks has been coming and going, kind of fits and starts, but big shout out to Austin Newton for the work that he's doing on that with Zapier. And again, we have motored through most of the work we have to do to light that up, and that will be hitting next week. We tried to get that done this week, we just didn't have, but we've a lot of stuff going on, but that should be closing next week. You'll hear more about that. I'll update through the staff forum board, and I'll just so we have more information. And then hopefully soon after that, they will be updating the reports from the finance department. The third major jigsaw puzzle piece that's been working, up until now has been the county level access, that our county executives have access to the nation builder data and be able to get in there and use that for lead development and growing your county Senate districts. Would be able to work with their county chairs to grow their Senate districts. And so next week I'll be rolling out a pilot program with 12 counties to get this started and kind of debug and funnel this into a training or something, put out to the other counties that want to use this, which I would strongly recommend and encourage everybody to use this. We have a lot of junk in our data. We have a lot of old, it's been, a lot of it's cold. And so we need to move through that. We pay according to the number of records we're using. So we need to move through that and eliminate the ones that are unresponsive and then engage or re-engage the ones that are responsive. And that's, we don't have the bandwidth to do that straight up. I mean, and so that'll be something we have to work at the county level to, and these are people you want to recruit to come to your local meeting stuff anyway, right? So that's how we're going to get that figured out. RJ has come on board. He's working hard on developing the volunteer recruiting aspect of that. So that's good. But again, a lot of that will end up turn around and trying to put people in touch with their local operators, with their local county leadership, so that they can get more engaged with at the human level in real life and not just at some abstract social media level. Once those three major pieces come into place, then we still have a lot of cleanup to do, taking out the trash, and that's Nation Builder, and it's also going to be QuickBooks, which is a big topic of discussion between me, Johnson, and Kate. To a certain extent, Jenny, but this is really more on the financial accounting and reporting side. I don't know who all is tracking the conversations that are in the forum over the past few days about the motion to bring on a paid bookkeeper, but we have a lot of cleanup to do, and it's not the kind that's going to get done in our spare time. And so I'm going to segue a little bit into a little bit of what's going on with me personally and strategy going forward. When I came on board as contractor in the summer of 22, it was like heavens open and rainbows, and also it's like there's all this time and there's things I can be doing and ways we can try to move the party forward, and that was what I was doing all the time. And one of the things that it encouraged me to believe is that if we had a lot more volunteers, it would take a lot more volunteers to do the work of one person. And so I started a campaign of recruiting volunteers and building our org chart and trying to fill out our org chart into what it was supposed to be. I mean, it doesn't do any good to have an org chart with 30 or 40 positions if you've only got 10 people working, right? So that went reasonably well. We got a lot of people on board. I would say at this point that I have learned a lesson, that there is a diminishing returns with part-time volunteer work, that the complexity of management and coordination of multiple people starts to put a cap on how much it's a diminishing marginal returns thing, where you 8 people doing 3 hours a week is not going to be as effective as one person doing 24 hours a week. It's just not. It's not. You can't. The math doesn't work. So now, don't get me wrong. We still need volunteers and lots of them. But at our core, at the center of how things happen in the party, we need to have not just one guy, me or anybody else, that's sort of like the give it to Andrew, he'll do it guy. We need a team. We need some operators that are doing the things that need to get done day in and day out. So as you know or should know, I am effectively in the process of resigning my position. I gave up half my compensation as of the 1st of the year, and I'll give up the rest of it as the 1st of April. and I will no longer be a paid contractor. I'm doing that because I'm in a position to be able to do that. I'm doing that because that frees up LPTexas to make intelligent decisions about how to redeploy that money. And my strong suggestion is that you decide to redeploy that money in the direction of significant paid part-time help, and starting with our financial accounting, because I swear to God, if we, that is the foundation of everything we need to do in development and finance. I mean, in terms of, we don't have useful and actionable data, and we're flying blind. We're piddling, and that's not going to get us anywhere. And there's too much going on in the world. There's too much in front of us that we need to do to half-ass our way through this. So that's my pitch. And that's really all I got to say. And I guess I just want to end by making it clear in case there's any question in anybody's mind. Not a knock on volunteers, not a knock on anybody in the room, not a knock on anybody that gives up any of their valuable, scarcest resource we have is our time. And I'm proud and I appreciate everybody that gives up the time to give up to do the things that we do here as a party. And we've accomplished a lot this term. So let's keep it up. Let's keep the momentum going. But I don't think one paid executive director surrounded by any number of part-time volunteers is going to get us where we need to get. We need more people that have the same degree of focus and can keep going no matter what. So that's it. That's the strategy going forward. I think there's I don't know if anybody has, unless anybody has any questions. So obviously we got some time.
I do.
Okay.
All right, so the executive director compensation, that was $50,000 annually. So we're down to, we've got 25 back right now, right? And then eventually, as of April 1st, we'll have $50,000 a year that's going back into the party to be redeployed to part-time staff, starting with the paid bookkeepers, which you're proposing, right?
Let me correct that just a little bit.
Okay.
Because
I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
yeah, let's do the math. The since we're on a calendar year budget, we had 50,000 budgeted this year for staff compensation.
Right.
And I guess I'll throw this out there for y'all. On my analysis, I could have just hired Jocelyn. I mean, like I'm putting my salary back in the pot. We have a budget for 50. Again, it's just like we just spend the money that y'all already budgeted just a couple of months ago for staff, right?
Yeah.
We're just rethinking the strategy of how we deploy our resources to our staff. I elected not to do that after some conversation with Whitney and others, because I want you guys to see how this works and buy in. So we'll see how that goes. So we structured it as a motion for SLEC to give its sign off on this. But so back to the math, we got 50K minus 50
As of right now.
as of right now, and it'll be
So.
say 6 and change or something at the end of March. So you basically have almost 45 grand in the pot for this year. So
I had a part two.
yes.
Okay, so
I just want you to, it's not 25, it's 45. It's
Yeah.
43.
So I know this body passed it, I'll call it an ambitious budget
Mhm.
in our last meeting. So understanding that, and I think a lot of people voted for it because it's fluid, right? It's, we have the ability to pull different levers and everything. So are we also working with our directors to now look at that budget and say, hey, is there anywhere that we can pull back? Do we have an analysis going at each director budget level to say, where can we pull back and make some money? Do we actually need as much money in the budget for every department as documented in the budget?
I mean, you can probably answer that, but
Well, I was just saying, it's kind of an ongoing process. We have not undertaken a pull the emergency brake, systemic review of every
No, I get it,
deal. But yeah, each department is expected to manage its resources, and we're in the process. I think there was some discussion on the forum about possibly changing our email platform. I mean, there's different stuff that we're looking at as ways to reduce costs.
And the departments, like you said, it's not like, we haven't put out a call for, hey, department chairs,
Slash your
where we,
budget.
yeah, slash your budgets.
Like
but
we did in,
they-
what was that,
That's something they're
2019 or
constantly
something?
thinking about, and they periodically just come to us and say, hey, we don't get back, someone came yesterday, so we don't need this line item anymore. Let's
Yeah,
toss
no,
it."
and
So,
that's exactly what I'm
yeah,
talking
it's kind of
about.
an ongoing thing that they tend to just be
Yeah.
constantly.
I'm not talking about a call to action, but just like an awareness. Hey, is there anything that, do we have any buffer that we don't actually need? So yeah, okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Any other
Anything
questions?
else?
Cool, all right.
Operations?
Okay. Are you gonna put that up there?
Is that what you need?
Okay, so the one thing I did not report on, prior in this report, was I would put together a motion that the operations department report should go first before anyone, including the chair, so that I don't get every single point that I was about to talk to. So yeah, as you heard from Andrew, the form upgrade has been completed. You know, we're still working through permissions and those kinds of things. The thing that was not talked about is Nathan and Amanda did quite a bit of work in standing up an additional web shop and pulling off a shared hosting and hosting it in our infrastructure. One thing for me, I am a security person, so if you don't know, I do security for a living. We did configure Vault Warden, so we can now begin to have usernames and passwords that are stored independent of individuals and spreadsheets, those kinds of things. We are using it in IT. We plan on rolling it out throughout. And then we also use an issue tracker for our own needs, right? Austin and team have been really working on that and like, what are the various problems here? And so how do we get other departments to use it? That's a service, right? I've said many times that the operations department is not like political action. It's not like these other groups. And that we purely exist to support you, right? We have no other agenda outside of let's build tools for you. As was just mentioned, we are looking at where can we save money. I mean, I know there's a little conversation about email. That's ongoing, but we moved off of GoDaddy, for example. We just made it go away. We saved 50% of that. Now, again, it's not a lot of money, just like the email conversation was relatively trivial. By far, our largest is Nation Builder itself. So extracting the value out of that, I think, should be our priority. But we have migrated DNS out of GoDaddy. We have registered domains that are saving us a little bit of money. We have created a connector to QuickBooks Online, as Kate reported earlier. We have committed to getting that fully integrated, with the financial reporting group by convention. There's a little bit tricky here. We did build out LPTexas.org and convention websites. There were lots of stuff behind LPTexas.org that we need to go build out and make sure it actually worked as we transitioned into Nation Building. As was noted by, I think it was Kyle, actually, we did a ton of work on it. The convention website is fully available on Nation Builder. So we are moving along there. Paul, Bo, Kyle, I mean, in general, the IT team here is extraordinarily self-running. They're extremely responsive, and I'm proud to actually be the director of the department. I mean, it doesn't require a lot. So Austin knows I call him up all the time going, hey, somebody just told me go do X, and he's like, not a problem, I'll go get it, or I'll get something to do it. If there are things that you need done that we're not doing, right? Again, we're a service organization, so that's important. On the volunteering side, as Whitney noted earlier, we do have a new staff member in the volunteer coordinator position. That would be RJ Pat. And outreach, little has happened since the last report in November. There was a lot going on various fronts in that space. I think what we need to do is we need to take a look at what is available in Texas and just create that list. And once that's there, then we probably need to socialize that list with you and so you can partner with the various. Questions, thoughts? Yes, sir.
Joe Roberts, SC23. Just a couple, ones regarding the county access. And I just want some clarification. So if someone resigns from a county position, is there something on the LPTexas side, or let's say a county comes in and affiliate gets reaffiliated, is there something on your side that can connect? Because I know that one of the issues with our social media outside LPTexas is going is when we have a shifting of leadership, sometimes that's acrimonious, and I don't want anything held hostage from county.
So I was aware of the one social media problem. I think it was a problem. I don't think it was acrimonious, quite frankly. I think it was an error. We do need to get better at it right now. It's a manual process. Austin and team can handle it and cut access like that. But if we don't know how to do it.
So I was just clarify, I was talking about the access to nation goals. So let's say, we had an unfortunate death that caused one county to have to shift to new leadership. Are there going to be any issues with the new person coming on and being assigned a username and password to get access to that if for some reason that identification is not stored somewhere secure?
So there should not be issues with users taking the reins. That said, if there are issues, go ahead and escalate to me. Austin's ready to.
I just want to add, this is one of the reasons why I installed Vault Board, so that county leadership can have their social media, the stuff that they're using stored in a central place where those credentials can be passed on to someone in the case exactly. That's why I did Vault Board.
My other question real quick, are we currently actively seeking a new outreach coordinator, or are we just?
We are not. Jenny is still in that position. I was temporarily more concerned about the volunteering piece because I think it's critical to get that into Nation Builder so that it's available to various departments. I need someone with social media experience who can go create movies and can do graphics, and that answer shouldn't always be called in. Right, there should be a pool of people that we can do a search on, right? So
Also, Amanda
I'm
can say no.
Never do, can you say no?
So I'm certainly open to having that conversation. I mean, we can technically have a, given Andrew's earlier direction of how it's really the organization, that is a volunteer, not outreach coordinator, wants to step above it. The coordinator is a lower level, but it's the one higher level for outreach. We had a young lady who had moved out of Harris County, and she was unable to continue when I took over after Carter left. But we do want to, the outreach piece, I think, is important. I mean, we can argue left, right, and center, and you've seen it all happen on how much we focus on running candidates versus those kinds of things. But we can begin showing on single issue coalitions. I mean, I think that's, the more people I talk to, I mean, it's every presidential cycle, you don't think it's going to get worse, but it does get worse. And people are like, wow, we thought last time was bad. Like, this is by far worse of the two candidates people are looking at. And that opens that conversation, right? So where we can insert ourselves into that conversation. I'm very pragmatic. I don't think we're going to really grow fast, but at least begin the conversation of there needs to be alternatives, right? Questions, other questions? Thank you.
We're way ahead of schedule on this. Obviously, what I propose we do with the body's indulgence is just continue with our staff reports, and then break at 11:30 for lunch as scheduled. At this time, we've only been going for 45 minutes, but I suspect that some people might need a potty break. I saw some hands up, so I'm assuming that's what that was for. So is there any objection to 10 minutes?
Way to go.
15?
Any objection to 15 minutes, and then we come back and go to communications report? All right. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so as we said, we'll just continue moving on with staff reports. We've got communications coming up next, and as I mentioned before, Mr. Ward is not here for this. I believe he's the only director who's not a SLEC member, so the rest of you have to be here anyway. Mr. Miller.
Jeff.
Madam Chair, that's a little loud.
Oh, is it now?
Be bad.
That's just the overwhelming audience.
That's right.
Yes, as Whitney mentioned, Kyle is not here. He caught something, which, you know, I was in Dallas a few months earlier too, so I understand. But once again, I am Jeff Miller, your substitute communications guy. Thank you, please keep it going.
I'll be here all night.
No, I'm gonna follow the precedent and not take the whole time because that's what everybody else is doing, so I get to cop out too. And, you know, last time I tried to like actually read, you know, the stuff as I went, but once again, I say Kyle wants to be asked questions, so by all means bombard him with questions. As many as you can think of. You know, you can ask him about like the projects where he, you know, says vitally important is more media contacts. You know, you can ask him about what's being done to do that, among other things. He started off by saying thanks to many people for the Shopify switch and saving the company a lot of money, or the organization, the party, a lot of money. So I wanted just to highlight 3 people in that many people, which is Amanda Gibbs, Nathan Polsky, and Austin Hoogan. Because, you know, sometimes we kind of gloss over that, so I want to make sure each one of those people got it. And I know there was more people than that, but those are the ones that I wanted to especially mention because they've been doing a lot of work. He mentioned in here convention posts. So what we've been trying to do is kind of alternate between more promotional content, fundraising content, and kind of just general LP policy statements to remind people what we stand for, that sort of thing. Generally, those kind of more generic LP things get a lot more response than the promotional stuff, which is why, even though all of the promotional stuff is important, why we have to kind of put those in there. And then everybody likes to, you know, like those and comment on those things, and we don't get a lot of response to the posts about, you know, convention and things like that. But we still, that's what we need everybody in here for. So I just wanted to ask real quick, how many of you are on social media every day? Quite a lot of you. So are you seeing LPTexas content in your feed?
Yes.
Okay. Are you liking and sharing that content?
Yes.
Because if you're not, if I can't get everybody in this to do it, then it's going to be really hard to get anybody else out there too. So if you're not, and there's a reason for that, and you say this isn't what I want to see from LPTexas, then by all means let me know so I know what we want to be messaging. Because once again, this is your party, and I want to be reflecting that. And I have had a few people who have contacted me privately and told me, you know, that sort of thing. So I appreciate those people. But I want to hear more of that, of if there's things that you want us to be doing that we aren't doing, then by all means let me know. So I don't have a lot more on that. Amanda wanted me to remind everybody again about the memorial video, the tribute that she's working on. So if you have photos, stories, etc., please get them to her by the end of March, but preferably earlier than that. So it's not everything at the last minute, and everybody's kind of saying that too. So does anybody have any questions for me? Yes,
On
sir.
the flip side of what you were saying, if we tag LPTexas in one of our posts, will you share it?
Absolutely, and that I'm glad you brought that up because that
Maybe.
One of the last. Okay. One of the last meetings I talked about how the county affiliates need to be more active. That's still the case. I do have set up where all the ones that I see, I've got it set to notify me. So I try to see those, but by all means, if you post something and you think, well, LPTexas should be sharing this, but it isn't yet, then, send me a message and let me know, and I'll try to do that as soon as I can. But even on the weekend, I'm sitting there on Hootsuite looking to see if we get mentioned by anybody and trying to respond to those as quickly as I can. But obviously, if I miss it, let me know.
I did it last night. I took a picture of the shirts and it got shared. I tagged Texas.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and Kyle.
So, anybody else? All right, I could do a couple minutes of my stand-up routine if you want.
Please do.
Anybody else remember the 80s?
Kinda. It's hazy.
Like all the heavy metal bands would do their one slow ballad song to try to get the female fans.
Poison, baby.
Even Guns N' Roses had Patience, where Axl Rose is singing all sweetly. And stuff. There was one band and one lead singer that I really respected more than others, though, and that was Cinderella. Their lead singer Tom Kiefer.
Yes.
He wasn't going for that. Like they still did the ballad song. It was called "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone."
Hell yeah. Don't know.
And they started the same way. The soft piano, the violin comes in, but then Kiefer got up to that microphone and he goes, "Can't tell you, baby, what went wrong." It's like I'm not. That's what I do. I screech. I always respected that.
They're here.
This is the best report ever.
Well done. Plus 10 for the Cinderella. The 80s reference, 10 points.
Do all the rest of the reports.
Oh, I'm not with that.
Follow that, Jimmy.
Oh, she came in.
Jimmy's just amazing.
It's your turn. There you go. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good morning, Jenny.
No, I am not singing.
Oh, man.
No. First of all, I just want to thank all of you guys for sticking it out. It's a big deal. I've been doing this a long time, and the people that are left in the room at the very last SLEC meeting, it's a big deal. So I just want to applaud you guys. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of hours, and I really appreciate that because I know what goes into it. Thank you guys for showing up this year, because I believe that I say it a lot, that a big part of what happens in this party is show up. I mean, yeah, it takes work, but I mean, step one, be there. And so I'm just really grateful this morning for all of you, especially all of you who are donors. So in general, for lack of a better term, I've been a little bit dead in the water. For my department. And so I don't know about you guys, but when I have a work project going on and someone's like doing a bunch of other stuff over here and I can't actually help, then I figure out something else to do. And so we've been taking inventory of every single pin, sticker, canvas bag. It's a lot, y'all. We got a lot of pins. So Judy and I have been meeting about every other week in person to have all that organized so that when we put in our lovely storage facility, thank you for making that happen, by the way. We'll be able to have that all accounted for. So when that happens, I guess it would go up in Ignite. I'm not quite sure where that data would go, but it would be available for you guys. We have as far as Carter put together a couple of like promotional packages of little things, a lot of little plastic bracelets too. So those are in bags. We have some stand-up display thingies, that kind of thing. So we are keeping track of all of that, and some of that is going to go in storage, and some of that we're going to keep, obviously, the Donor Appreciation Program rewards. So I also don't have a lot to report because of that. I don't have actual numbers. I can tell you that we had one more person level up to Lone Star. About that. And then we got 2 more lifetime members. So now it's Ann and Cheryl, for anybody who knows my family. So now all 4 of us are lifetime members, and we're
Nice.
So now we are gearing up for convention. And last year we were spread pretty thin as far as like how things, went down with the development and stuff. So we scrambled and got a lot of stuff together. And so this year it's really nice to be able to breathe a little. Thank you, Jody, for all that you're doing. Development department gets to sit down and say, okay, so how many people do we have coming? We can focus on the level up. I don't know if you guys know that, but last year, Andrew, and it was last year, at the convention, we have a level up campaign. And so people, when they come to register, they swing by our little table and say, oh, hey, what's up? And then you say, oh, did you know that if you pop in 10 more bucks, you get this nifty pin, as a lot of you guys experienced that. That was pretty successful, so we're doing that again. And we are also gearing up for another lifetime member push beforehand, because if you are a lifetime member, we have a lunch on Sunday that you're invited to. Lunch. And so we're going to try to get as many people in that. Last year we had a big push for lifetime members, and that was fun, honestly. And the gala, talking to Jody a little bit about sponsorship and stuff like that, working it out. But I don't have actual numbers for you. I just don't. I don't have anything else to add to that. But I continue to be optimistic about our future. I was a little discouraged this year. The different transitions and not having access to authorize, I'm not going to lie about that. I think I was pretty honest about that last meeting. It was daunting. And I did have my moments. I'm very fortunate to have a good team. I have Judy and Matt. And last night I talked to Matt about, it's a little complicated to be able to keep track. You don't just like print out the finances and say, oh, look, all these people leveled up. You don't have anything to like notify you when someone reaches that level. So it's a big manual process. So Matt is going to dig in there and see if he can figure out a way for us to be notified on that kind of stuff, which will be a game changer for Judy and the donor appreciation program. So anybody have any questions? Oh, yes.
So question on the storage facility, if we have a variety of collateral, it can be used arbitrarily for gatherings, right? So I'm getting pop-ups and whatnot. Is there a way for a county to request access to that and track it? And
Good question.
Anyone have that?
Yeah, I was thinking it might be a wiki question.
Yes, so we've been, what was that? We have, Jody and I are working on updating the inventory list. When Carter Fanning was still involved, I had transferred that list to him. I think Jesse owned it for a little while, just to list all of that kind of stuff. The equipment, the screens, projectors, that kind of stuff. So all of that is being moved into the storage facility, and we're working on updating that list. At some point, yes, people, and we do have people who just kind of come and request. Right. Different counties have asked, we need a screen for this or that, and we get that out. We've got to streamline our process for making sure we're accounting for who has it and who then is going to be responsible for it if it disappears or gets damaged. But yes, that is something, the stuff exists to be used. And so we need to figure out, the problem is logistics. How do you get it from the storage facility in Houston to whoever needs it in Williamson or whatever?
But is there a request process that isn't, that's in any way formal? Or?
Pardon me?
Is there a request process or a tracking process?
I mean, no more people sending me an email and me saying, yeah, we've got that, and then figuring out how to get it to, Andrew's got his hand up to maybe answer.
Give a shout out to the Booth in the Box
Yes.
program. The stuff we're talking about is basically, I mean, we're not going to be stingy or picky about it, but it's for state outreach.
Correct.
Basically your department. But, if you're in the Harris County, Houston area, and that's the closest stuff, but we have, five sets of pop-up table, some support, some chairs, the Booth in a Box concept that are deployed around the state in different areas. And so anybody that needs that kind of support or that kind of asset, be sure to check with John or somebody in affiliate support. I don't remember where those things got pulled through.
I wasn't thinking of large towns. I mean, we affiliated a couple of these little towns.
Right.
Right, and so they might have a couple people, right? And if you give them a pop-up and show up and press flash might be worthwhile.
Sure,
So-
but John can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're not just deployed to the county, they're deployed regionally for access for anybody in a radius.
Yeah, they tend to skew a little bit toward larger counties, just because that's where the volunteers are taken. But they're not exclusively for larger counties. In fact, we try to keep smaller counties in mind when deploying them.
Right.
And the stuff that's in the storage unit in Houston is not branded stuff. It's not the kind of stuff that's meant for booths. Like it's more like meeting equipment and things like that. So, but we'll get that inventory up for everybody to access. And John, like Andrew said, if anybody needs things, you can maybe send an email to myself, to copy Andrew and John on it, and we'll see what, based on what stuff you need, where it is, and figure out how to get it to you. And you know, if you have a neighboring county who you think needs something, you can reach out on their behalf too and try to facilitate that.
And just on that note, we have received at least one request to deploy another one. We're not trying to do that right now. We're planning on waiting until the next body.
To create another one, you mean?
Yeah. To try to get that through. But if you think of a region that needs it or a need for one, let us know and we can try and get that all together before we try and do anything. So.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, that brings us to Frank. What about you? Do you mind if that's there?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Political action is next. Big focus coming up, of course, is the elections in November. So the first thing I wanted to do is I want to get organized and get like a volunteer sign-up sheet so we can coordinate volunteers once we have our nominated candidates in April. So I have some pages to disperse.
I can do that.
Everyone go. Everyone can. I guess one to each table. I hopefully got enough for each. Well, one less
I'll
than
put
each
them
table.
at the front tables and then y'all can pass them back.
And so the idea is to put down name, email address, and we can coordinate with candidates. You know, once we have all that information, if anyone is available to do things like phone bank, canvassing in that area, or host events, for instance. And that's going to be important to try to connect our candidates with people who can volunteer for the various things that they need to do to run a successful campaign. Obviously, once campaigns that have more support, that have more larger number of donors, larger donor bases, whether or not that's a large donor, even small donors can help. Phone banking, canvassing, all that's helpful to candidates. And as a third party, that's what we really need to do. Someone mentioned press flesh. That's kind of what we're looking towards. So then another thing that has been coming up, and I've been reached out to by a couple candidates, is just kind of information on different events. So for instance, one candidate reached out that they had an event that's put on by a local teachers union, for instance. They have an education forum, basically. So I wanted to, so I just wanted to connect some of our information for our platform to kind of just generalized talking points for campaigns. So please reach out to the Political Action Department if you are a candidate and you are going to be out doing a forum, any sort of town hall meeting or something that where you might be asked policy questions, and we can connect you with the appropriate line in our platform, and also potentially give you some advice on what positions that can be advantageous for that type of forum. Finally, please to the timeline. Page 5. And then, oh yeah, keep looking. And, oh yeah. So coming up, we'll have our nominations. I hope, like what was said earlier, please make sure you get those in time. It's 10 days before each convention is when post notice is required. It is required on either your local county's website, or if your county doesn't have a website, then obviously the state website, that's required. Posting the physical form is preferable on the county commissioners board, so that's normally located at wherever the county administrative office is. within your county, usually in the county seat of the county. And then, if you could scroll down finally to the bottom, and then one other point that political action, I want to make sure that all our candidates have notice of and are knowledgeable about filling out is the campaign finance reporting. I've been trying to send out to all our candidates reminders on that and how to fill it out. I know most of you all may already be familiar, but there are some candidates that are running for the first time. They might not know what they need to do. There are fines and penalties if you do not turn in your campaign finance report in a timely basis and in the correct manner. They are required, even if you don't raise any money, even if you don't spend any money. So just please be aware of that, and I'll try to be sending out reminders for that throughout the election season. But other than that, is there any questions?
I'll stand because my voice has been better now. Asking specifically because on the L2 is tied to the CAD budget, that's where it falls on finances. So are you receiving feedback on that, or is that more going to be from the affiliate side?
Well, so the counties themselves can go into L2 and they can purchase data sets. So the data.
Well, so let me rephrase. So the state party, we're paying $13,000 a year for L2. Do we have any numbers to see how much that's actually being utilized? Or are we just putting money in L2 and it's not being used?
All right, that's a good question. So we do need to connect L2 with our candidates. There is useful information there. People can pull out based on the L2 actually has drop downs for your specific district. So whether you're running a House district campaign or even a local county campaign, you can select that boundary, that political boundary, and you can find all the information on that. But as to your question, Ms. Wolski, whether or not candidates are utilizing it, I guess we need to send out a survey to candidates to see whether are they using this L2 program, because it is free to use.
Well, it's right now,
Right, until they're not.
Should be using it, not the candidates.
Right now, the county can use it, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Candidates may use it until after they're nominated.
Right.
And even then, there needs to be some sort of agreement. obviously.
Yes, county uses it.
Right.
Facilitate that.
So, all of that being said, I've used L2 last year, and it's expensive, even just exporting a small number of data sets.
And we're in theory getting a discount.
And that's with the discount. Have you looked into voter gravity that national is providing at no additional cost for states and candidates?
No, I haven't looked into it.
So, we've reached out to the individuals within national that are providing voter gravity. If the cost, so it was $120 for me to pull L2 data, and all I got was L2 data. That's it. Voter gravity, $50 a month to get up to 100,000 records, and a block blocking app and a phone linking app all rolled into one, no cost to the state. So from a candidate perspective and from state party finances, do we still want to utilize L2, or would we like to rely on national voter gravity that wouldn't cost us anything and candidates?
So the L2 cost, that's only if you export data.
Correct, but the state party is still paying $13,000.
Right.
And if nobody's exporting it, then nobody's really utilizing it.
So it's something to consider.
Right.
How well did relying on national go for city?
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a different thing. So voter gravity is completely third party application that.
Something that we could still get on our own, that we wouldn't have to go through national to get, because that didn't work out so well for us last time. It's never worked out well for us anytime we've done it.
Can I speak to that? I'll speak to that because I've talked to multiple state chairs in other states, Georgia, Nebraska, California, who have all moved into the voter gravity and said that it not only was a smooth transition into voter gravity, but the perks of having voter gravity. I talked to people who use both the I-360, which is what the Republicans use, is their format of the L2 that we use, and used that on a campaign and then went over to the voter gravity in the LP campaign and said that the voter gravity was 5 times better.
I'm not arguing against voter gravity. I'm arguing against relying on another organization for our information.
So what I hear for that to be, the states have moved over, the states that have moved over to it, the candidates that have moved over to that, I've heard there's been no backlog or anything like that. It's been a smooth transition.
Okay.
So, if there's interest in taking a look at voter gravity, we can do that and look at the options of getting into it ourselves, as opposed to, or in conjunction with looking at the options for getting it through national, which I also would not recommend, just generally speaking. And I say that as someone who was on the LNC for 6 years. Thank you. Anything else?
I've gotten requests through the social media for information about candidates, lists and even, contact information and stuff. I've basically been pointing him to West Benedict's site because he's the only one I know that actually put a list up there. So are we going to have on the website soon, or is there another?
We do have a list.
We just have to
candidates.
They're not actually our candidates.
Potential candidates, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Candidates
Yeah.
for nomination. They are not yet our nominees. Once they become our nominees, then they become candidates in the general election.
Right. I just remember for 2 years ago that process of getting them on the website and connected took a long time. For a long period of time after the conventions, there was one candidate listed. So I'm just asking because I want to know, is that going to not happen this time? Will that be done sooner so we have something we can point people to?
Yeah, well, we already have
That was a city CRA.
Yeah, that was because we were working with national.
we already have the list, so as soon as they're nominated, even on the county level, like the county candidates, that can go, well, I mean, we don't really, but for the statewide candidates, as soon as the convention's done, as soon as we have the nominees, we can literally just publish the list of the candidates who are nominated. And there's only a few that are contested between multiple potential candidates for nomination.
And our list of candidates who are seeking nomination has been disseminated to members of the public and different entities, news organizations, Ballotpedia, for example, lots of other ones.
I could
Is
vote.
that our time for his report?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, can I make a request for that?
Hold on. So that list is out there. It's not on our website right now. Is that what you're talking about, Jeff?
Yeah.
It's not currently on our website?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's just when I was asking right now if people send me a message or they ask publicly who is our candidates, what's the best thing to point them to?
So I have provided a list to Kyle Ward, who I know he has shared that list with someone else, but we are working on refining that to provide only the information that the public needs, because that list was more of an internal list. And I just this week confirmed the list that the Secretary of State has. And so now that we're all for sure 100% on the same page with what they have, we can publicize it. So we can get that up on our website. And then when nominations occur, we can pare that list down and remove all of the people who did not get nominated if there weren't any. And you're saying we just can send that directly to you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not the one who publishes to the website, but
But you need it for
yeah, just
communication.
responding to anyone who inquires about
Right.
candidates.
And then at that point, in theory, you could just point them to that URL. Right. I see some other hands, the time has expired on this item.
I move to extend for 3 minutes for additional questions.
So how many more questions do we have?
I have a quick
Show
question.
hands of who else has a question on this? I see 2 people. Okay, 3 minutes. Do you believe that's going to be enough?
How about 10 minutes?
Okay. All right, I have a motion to extend for 10 minutes for the questions that are existing. It was seconded. Any objection to that? Go. Coogan, do you have a question now?
Yeah, it's real simple. I think you just answered it. Was could we get a list so that we can stage something ready to go? You know, you said the problem was before with national. If we're just ready to go, we can go.
Yes, but here, let me tell you what's going to be on the list. The names, the office that they're seeking, and if we have an email address and website for them, if we have it, we'll put it on there.
Again,
We are not going
it's
to go
just-
out of our way to find email addresses and websites for people who didn't provide them on their applications.
I just don't want to be the barrier. That's all.
Got it. Mr. Westbrook.
And you're gonna start getting phone calls through that 1-800 number too. Trust me.
I'm a program, I'm was waiting for the, so sorry.
Yes, and I forgot to ask this when you came back from break. During break, some people approached me and said that some of the table conversations are a little extreme and it's making it difficult for the people around you to hear. So please just be mindful of that. I know that when you're facing each other, it makes it easier to want to engage. So just please don't do that, because even whispers, when there are lots of them, can affect people.
So on the program guide, the question is, do we have a time, an estimated time as to when those postings are gonna take place?
I can provide the list that exists right now to whoever can post it on the website.
So
within a
who's
day.
responsible for doing that?
Yeah, I can get it up until later this week.
Kyle and I will take care of it this week.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Move to yield back the time.
We'll just keep going. Is there anything else on this? Okay, thank you. Actually, since we do have more time, I would like to say something. I think you touched on it a little bit, Frank, but regarding candidates participating in questionnaires or forums or debates or whatever, I strongly encourage you to do that every chance you get. If there is one that comes up that you feel is out of your depth because it's about, like, the topic of it is just not an area of expertise for you, we have an example of one of our statewide candidates no, she's not statewide this year. Anyway, one of our candidates has reached out for help regarding a forum that she wants to appear in, specifically related to education, and it's just not her area of expertise. So she reached out to us, myself and Frank, asking, what do I say? And my first thought was, if you want to be a candidate but you don't know what to say and you have to appeal to your party to help you answer questions, that's a little, I struggle with that a little bit. But having said that, if it is one area, you know, if you're running for Congress and there's one area that you know they're going to ask you about that you just need a little bit of support with, that's perfectly fine. But we can't do that for everyone. We can't be the ones that coach our candidates. So just keep that in mind as you're out there recruiting candidates. We need to be looking for people who have a general, savvy about lots of things for the races that they're going to be running. Along those lines, League of Women Voters, I'm going to continue to promote this. You've heard me do this before. The League of Women Voters puts out a very robust candidate or voter guide. And they approached me a couple years ago asking to help develop the questionnaire because they were finding that libertarians specifically, but also other third-party candidates, were not filling them out. One of the reasons why they're not filling them out is that they're very long. And if you don't really want to do the job of the candidate, then don't be one. But if you do, fill out the damn questionnaire. And also, they are now asking questions in a way that isn't off-putting to third-party members, because that was another thing, is that even myself as a candidate would get to a question, I'm like, this question has already set me up.
Right. Yep.
And I would stop filling it out. So I totally related, and they were seeing that on their end, that libertarians just weren't turning them in. That I think has changed in the last cycle or so. So please continue to do that. They also print responses verbatim. Exactly what you say, even if it's profane, they will print it.
And typos.
So be mindful of that. Let the other candidates get in trouble. But be authentic and say what you want to say. The other thing, just to kind of go further with that, has always historically been a print document that they put in libraries. They stock it in public libraries. Wow. And they are still doing the print version, and they are still putting it in libraries, and they're struggling to get them into the rural libraries. So if you have any way of helping facilitate getting these things into the rural libraries, that would be helpful, because I know some of our candidates and our voters live out there and they want access to this information too. But they also have vote411.org now, which is an online version of it. You can look at it right now and see what information is there. Right now, it's got Republicans and Democrats. We know why that is, but the general public doesn't know why that is. So anyway, if you can, please respond to any and all questionnaires that you get. If you need help answering some of the questions, and we do have people, like Frank said, who have maybe more expertise in certain areas, feel free to reach out and we can try to connect you with people who we know are our resident experts. But you've got to retain that information so that when you run again next time, and then just kind of, talk to other candidates about that and ways that they can educate themselves and inform themselves, because we can't be spending our time coaching all of our candidates every year. Okay. That's that.
And candidates answer any invitations. If
Yes.
it doesn't come,
Yes.
I can tell you that was tremendously a big help in my campaign, because I was running blindly because I wasn't planning on running as activist. I ended up doing, and the homeowners associations and neighborhood association, they will reach out to you, and it was good. And my neighborhood association reached out to me, and they didn't realize I've been in the neighborhood for over 15 years. And they're like, but we all knew Jackie, my neighbor, with her dog. And so, but the thing is they didn't know, and they're like, well, why didn't you do this? I'm like, because my campaign money is zero kind of thing. And why libertarians don't get in, and they didn't understand. And the old thing I ended up doing is educating them how to ballot access.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing I did, which
Yeah.
didn't even get into property tax.
One of our biggest complaints as libertarian candidates is that they don't listen to us. Nobody listens to us. Nobody knows we're there. Well, if you're not filling out the questionnaires, they're never going to know that. If you're not showing up at the debates and the forums, they're never going to know. Like, that is our responsibility. Having said that, last night a gentleman was here. I don't think he's here today. Robert Profili. Remind me what he's running for, Jeff?
Texas House District 12.
State House. Okay. He was recently invited to a forum that is mostly just obviously primary party candidates, and he opted, and I believe he communicated this to the organizers, that he opted to not appear in that one because it does, in some cases, present a little bit of confusion for the audience when they meet you at a forum right now, and then the primaries happen and they go to the primaries and they don't see your name on the list, and then they think you've already lost somehow or you dropped out or whatever. So, but the thing that he did that is good is that he communicated this to the organizers so that they understand why he may or may not be appearing. Still fill out whatever questionnaire if appropriate that they're providing, but just each event is going to be different. And so you need to just kind of evaluate the situation and decide if it's in your best interest or the party's best interest for you to appear. And if not, communicate it to the organizers so that they will want to continue to connect with you. And it's educating them in some ways too about this process, because a lot of them don't understand it either.
Most of them.
That's a good point, Carol. Amanda and then Jeff.
I know I had reached out to vote and was asking about why our conventions are not on there, but the primaries were, and ended up speaking to a COO or something like that. And our convention is actually on there. So we have, I believe it's county and state are on ActiVote to where it shows our candidates. And if you're a candidate, I would love to have you on the little matrix. Ted's on there.
Oh, good.
So it's very visual for somebody trying to be informed.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, I was just going to say on that topic about if you get invited to something you feel like isn't an issue you know about, that's your opportunity as a candidate to practice your spinning. Because I was invited to a thing for the Home Builders Association and asking, housing things. And I'm definitely not an expert in that area, but once I started talking about libertarian philosophy in general, just sort of like our general stances about less government, we talked much more about those things. And we talked, the war and everything like that. We got into a lot more of that than we did talk about housing. So you have an opportunity to kind of take that and make it the interview or the event you want to make it, even if it's not what the theme of it.
Yeah, those are conversations those people will not have if you're not there.
Even an opportunity about don't vote in the primary.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're ready to move on. Okay. Events.
Any events coming up we should know?
Had one for a while. It's a lap desk. 15, now I'm down to 14.
Kyle, did you get the updated one?
I traveled too much. And
Okay, we'll start with the actually quarterly events report. Our meeting cost for the last event or for the last meeting was $1,254.51. That includes team coffee, which was a few hundred. So again, we get donations for that. And then our estimated cost for this one is $676.56. So I'm going to build that is what our estimated cost is for it. For the Q2 meeting coming, that's going to be following immediately following convention. So that is not going to be really out of our budget or anything there. Freedom Follies, I will get to that. I have a separate report for it. In our budget for expenditures for 2023, we were at $21,884.79. For the SLEC meetings, we're at $3,812.14, which is $812.14 over budget, but we collected $910 for tea and coffee. So that is where that extra expenditure is. It has been reimbursed, it's just, that's the way the accounting goes. And then we have some expenditures for 2024, which is discretionary, was $833.48. That's a couple hundred more than it was in November, and that was for some beverages for the fundraiser for the next morning, because we had a bit of a hiccup with the cash bar during it. So it was something that me and the executive director decided that could come out of discretionary to kind of make up for the VIPs with the little, it turned into a cash bar, it was a cash only bar, and it was supposed to be a cash bar, which is different, which means they accept credit card. And then for total non-ticket donations, right, so down here we have their tea and coffee was $910. For events, it was $8,323. I did not do the totals of what that meant with tickets for the entire year. I can look that up and get those numbers out of like what we actually made for the entire year, including it, including the actual ticket sales. So like the reimbursement for the event cost itself. These non-ticket donations are outside of ticket sales. And then non-ticket donations for 2024 is $500, and that's actually me. There was a check that kind of got lost for the event, and so I just ended up doing the donation in January on the site. And then we have the Freedom Follies. Okay, so for the Freedom Follies, for the total non-ticket donations was $4,501.51. Total ticket sales were $9,045. The total event cost was $12,034, and our total profit was $1,813. So that gave us about a 15% ROI, almost exactly on it. And so in this, like, I'm basically just gonna read my report. The other valuable and tangible benefits to consider of this is that we actually have 15% of our attendees from outside the party. So that's kind of one of these things about when we're focusing on specific issues, just like when we do coalitions, but like focusing on specific issues at these events, we're trying to pull people into the party that agree with us on our platform on those specific topics. Because nobody's ever libertarian enough, so we're not ever going to be able to pull everybody over to our entire platform. But if we can get them on certain key issues, and especially ones that separate us from the other major parties. So that's like a big thing, because we're not just all, pot smoking Republicans or gun toting Democrats, right? So like we are separate from that, and it's important that we make note of part of our platform that really separates us from the other ones. And so I feel like that is the end of my report. Sorry, it's very quick. Do I have any questions? Yes.
I have a couple of questions. So under this, I'll start with the total profit. Your numbers are actually wrong. It's $1,500.
Okay. Oh, so there is $301 that was collected at the Proven Boat from Whitney. Yes. For that cash bar problem. So we actually had to come up with an entire system to collect cash for to move over. So it should be still correct. The number is added in, but then we have that collection, and that 300 hasn't been added in yet. We actually had a phone call last week with them, and then also there is a $321.24 fund that is coming from the
almost $320 refund coming from the West End. Part of that was because that $301, if you weren't there. There was a glitch with their communication at the hotel about how the bar was going to be functioning in the main event.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a POS set up to collect money for the bar that they had provided. So we were having to sell tickets ourselves, drink tickets ourselves. That money was coming through me, and then going to the party. Because we had already found some of the discrepancies with the Weston's accounting.
Yeah.
I held off on sending that $301 to the party. So that is still coming in. We sorted that out Friday?
Last week, yeah.
Within the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And they, not only that, but they also owe us $321 more.
Yeah, and so that will be coming, so that is, that $321, whatever, is accounted for in this profit.
Is the 300 counted for it?
So in our budget, it has, we have, in the budget spreadsheet that I have, it has $301 spent, and then it also has $301 in donations. So it cancels itself out inside of our budget. The 300 that's actually missing is that 300 that is being refunded from the hotel. And it has to do with the bar because they overcharged for the amount of alcohol that we had, and then because it's supposed to be a cash bar, there shouldn't be any service charge or taxes added to it, and they didn't. So that's what they're refunding.
So your question is this number still accurate,
Yes, it
reflecting
is.
that pending refund?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Is that, so is that 12,000, does that reflect the pending refund, or is that before you deduct?
That's reflecting the refund.
We are still waiting for it to appear in our account.
That reflects refund, but you're saying the income does not reflect the 300 that you collected yet, and that's the difference between the 50 and 80.
It reflects the 300 coming in and going out. So it's
Right? Yes, that's a wash, but the $321.24 has not been refunded back into our accounts yet. And so in my budget, yes, well, my numbers here have that subtracted, so that's the reason that the account is correct.
Gotcha. Motion to extend time for 15 minutes.
It's stop time, man. I don't know what's going on.
Can you guys please silence your phones, because we're getting a lot of weird noises that people are assuming our time, time's up. While you are getting to that, I saw Dave had a question, and Joe and Mr. Bush.
I just wanted to point out that the lowest cost select meeting last year was in El Paso.
Yes.
As we go forward.
Lowest No,
Joe, this number is not going to change when we get the refund.
Yeah,
This number is as if the refund has already
been processed.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Even though it's not listed there.
Correct. Yeah. Due to the event, we did get a new membership, a new platinum membership was Sarah Stogner. So that was pretty cool. So we did get a new platinum membership.
So at that event, she signed up as, what is it, platinum, $1,000 a year?
Yeah.
And.
Mike Coogan also had, what was it? It was 1 star. So updated to that.
All right, 2 quick questions. So that non-ticket donations, do you elaborate on this?
So that was money collected either through donations prior to, so people making donations or donations made at the event.
Okay. And my second question is, so what was the total number of attendees?
We sold 43 tickets. So mind you, had we had like 8 or 9 more ticket sales, we would have made a percentage-wise quite a huge profit.
So
30.
I guess, okay, so my question is, you say you have a 15% of the attendees were not libertarians, so we're talking 6.
7, yeah.
6 or 7, so, and some of those were actually guests of attendees who brought them, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how we're gonna get people from outside.
They found out about it through.
Well, but they were willing to come to an event
I'm just clarifying that it's not, they didn't see the advertisement and said, oh, you know.
Well, and speaking of advertisements, we did finally actually get Facebook ads set up, but we didn't run them, so I'm looking at a face that said maybe not.
We did not run them, right?
No, we did not run them, but I'm saying we have the process set up for it now. So for future events, so for future events, that's another thing we're looking at, like how to advertise outside of the party as well. And so we did not get a chance to actually get ads run this time, but that is something that we should be considering for these events is running ads for them.
And the other thing I just wanted to bring up is that I understand promoting our platform and our principles. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is intended as a fundraiser. So, are we doing something that does not cost to promote our values, or are we doing this to bring money into the party?
We're not.
No, we're not.
All of the above.
Yeah, my first goal,
It raises
as a-
money.
yeah, my first goal is always to not lose money. My second goal is to raise money, and then the next goal is with messaging platform and bringing to the party. So there's a lot of factors that go into the events of what we're trying to do. And making money obviously is definitely always a positive, but it is not the only goal of an event.
Westbrook?
My point's down, Luke.
Thank you. Mr. Bradley, we've heard from you, and I see two other
I
hands,
had a
so.
couple of questions when I asked, and that wasn't my question, y'all just moved on without me, so I'd like to get a chance to address.
Okay, you can ask one more of your questions, and then I'm gonna let other people, and then I'll come back to you.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
So in the $4,500 and $4,501.51, you said that was money that was because of the event. I pulled the TDC reports just because I'm a nerd who does that. And from the time we announced our event through the end of November, non-unique donations, so anything that's not a monthly donation coming in, we had $3,100.89 of unique donations. That is a donation that they're not giving every month. So how exactly did we get $4,500 of non-ticket donations when during the time, through the end of November, I'm not even going through the events, through the end of November, we had less than $3,200 of unique donations?
I am not sure of the report that you're reading. I base it off a nation builder and the money that comes in. Some of it is cash, some of it, there was a lot of cash given at the event itself.
So are we not recording that in our CDC reports?
That's a treasurer question, not a me
Yes,
question.
this is not a question that we're gonna be able to answer right now on the spot without analysis. So if you'd like to bring whatever report you're looking at and set up a time to talk to us about it, we can, but we're not reporting about our TDC reports right now. So unless you're bringing something very specific, not to this meeting in this moment, where we can sit down and have a conversation and look line by line at what your issue is, which I'd love for you to actually get to the point of what your issue is at some point.
My question was, how do we get $4,500 when our TDC reports
Cash.
don't show that?
Deposited in January, and it's not gonna show in our TDC
Thank
because
you.
they have to
Yeah.
go into a strict period reporting of our bank accounts.
And I know 500 of it was
TDC
from me
reports
that
are
came
not,
in this
they're
month,
not on
last
the
month.
same reporting schedule as what we're talking about today.
Also,
They're
there's
just
just
not.
an ordinance that will what I donated in December. It should be in that TDC report.
The
Not if you
500
got
of
cash
it
in
would not be
2024.
because the donation was made on January 31st. So 500 of it, that was because I was expecting it to come out as a check, because that was a personal donation for me, and it did not come out as a check, so I wanted to make sure that it was in for the end of this quarterly report, so I made sure that it went in. And that donation was made on January 31st.
There
which is
were
$500.
still transactions coming in and going out, including the payments of some of these
Which
bills
the $301
after the TDC report was filed.
which there were yet $800
You're,
right now.
you're not gonna be able to compare them until all of it is in, and.
But I
you
will
can sit down and
say
look at
that I have personally in a spreadsheet, every single donation that was made calculated up, and that is an accurate representation of every single donation that came in for this event.
Westbrook is done, Mr. Hale, and then Mr. Perez, and then we can come back
Is that
to
my
your
time?
other questions, Mr. Bradley.
That's my time.
Oh, time is up.
Well, mine is a motion for an encore.
That's my time for that. Thank you, gentlemen.
So it sounds
Do I
like
have a
we-
second?
It sounds like, it sounds like we have, two questions remaining, one from Mr. Perez and another one from Mr. Bradley. Is there interest in, pardon me?
Move to extend 10 minutes.
Okay,
Second.
is there any objection to that? Okay, there's an objection, we need to talk about why we don't extend time.
It's a 2/3 vote and it's undebatable.
Okay, so all in favor of extending time for 10 minutes to hear those last two questions, raise your hand. I'm gonna recount this. Come on, guys, be prompt with this. If you to extend time for 10 minutes, raise your hand.
You got me going.
I see 21.
That carries. Yeah.
21, that's not two-thirds.
This is on.
We don't see opposed, it says it's
Okay,
voted.
all opposed?
So, there's a vote.
It does, yeah.
Is your hand up or not, Mrs. Unsicker?
I'm a state.
6 opposed. Pardon me?
Voted
Okay.
on vote.
All right, so time is in for 10 minutes. Mr. Perez?
Jordan, it seems as though this has been a bit of a learning process. Would that be accurate to say?
Well, this is all a learning process all the time, yes.
And, so what do you feel about the future, for future events? Because, like, again, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that honestly, like, getting on topics that are specifically us and not the other parties, I think is a really big deal for us. And I think that doing the events in a way that brings out people who want to spend money, because like a lot of those donations, right? A lot of that was donated at the event. And so, I mean, what was the book went for like $700?
Book went for $700.
Yeah, so we had like an auction item that went for $700. Like, so, and when you get people who have money to spend, who want to spend money in the party, and you get them at these kind of events, we're gonna start being able to make more money. There's a reason that the big parties do these big, huge fundraisers and spend all this money, because they make mad bank on them. And so, like, we obviously don't have exactly that kind of funding, but we definitely can be making more money. And I think that as events go on and people get used to and prepare, that's one of the reasons too I'm doing the events like as expected at certain times of the year and stuff, so that people have time to prepare for them, even if they haven't been specifically announced. And so I'm trying to build a little bit of like a pattern with them so that people are expecting them, so that they're not as surprised. Because I know ticket prices sometimes are a bit of a sticker shock to some people, but like events do cost money to do, and the people that have money to spend, they like to come out to events that are pretty nice. So,
Mr. Bradley?
Yep.
Wonderful. If you have specific questions about specific line items or expenses and things like that, it would be best if you could email directly to, and forgive me if you've already done this and haven't gotten a response, but email us or the people in question that you have, that you want to answer these questions, so that we can iron that kind of stuff out before the meeting. That way, if there are issues and errors in the report, they can be corrected before it comes before you.
And I was saying that we're doing this morning, so I didn't have time to do that.
Wonderful. So you're just getting this information together and choosing to put people on the spot to answer questions that they can't answer because they don't even know what you're looking at. So there are better ways. She does not have that right now.
She's a vet.
She doesn't do the TEC report. Raise your hand in here if you look at the RTEC report.
okay, we are going to share it.
That is exactly what I expected. That's exactly the number I expected. You cannot expect to come in here and ask someone to answer specific questions about a TEC report that they probably haven't looked
I
at
wasn't asking
right
about the
now.
report. I was asking the $4,500. She put together the spreadsheet for the $4,500. All I said that my numbers weren't coming up exactly the same.
Correct, and her answer was, she uses Nation Builder, which clearly doesn't match the TEC report, so there will be some follow-up on that if necessary, and you can submit those inquiries, and we can address them. Thank you.
Perfect. I don't know.
Have we answered all your questions?
I do have one more. So 15% of non-members were in attendance. Do we know how many of those 15% actually became members after that event?
I know at least one did. No, at least one became a class member.
Yep.
That's worth that.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah.
Good, that is a great question, Mr. Bradley. And I hope that we have more of that in the future.
Yeah.
I would offer, I know one did not, so sorry.
But she enjoyed it.
Oh, she enjoyed
We're still working on
She had so
her.
much fun.
She'll get her next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
No. I was deployed.
Okay,
It happens.
I feel like support, Mr. Wilford.
It's my own sweat. My own doing. Getting close to 100. I always go up. Of course. I'm just, but I'm sitting on workstation. Thought it was off.
I'm here for it.
Yes. Thank you for not being on mine. Ray told me to off that. You like mine? Yes.
Alright, I'll try to make it brief. Our numbers, I think they're actually a little bit down from last quarter by a percentage and a county, but they're floating about where they have been for most of this year. Again, we have most of the populated counties accounting for 89% now of the state. Reaching the rural county is going to be difficult. There are 2 in process, Cornell and Hopkins, that are still coming through, and that should be everyone. That's about what I have in my report, but I am open to questions about it.
Wow.
How prepared do you think our county affiliates are for the conventions coming up? Do you?
Yeah. I'm gonna try and answer this in the most respectful and direct way possible.
Okay.
So here's the good answer. There has been ample opportunity for people to get prepared. We have gotten some good questions about stuff. I know there was a great presentation put on by the Credentials Committee on how to do it. There was some good attendance in that. There are a decent number of counties, as there is every year, who are not prepared. But for the vast majority of those who aren't prepared, it is by their own lack of initiative that they are not prepared, not by anything we're doing.
Okay. So anything we can do to help you guys and getting those guys ready for this? I really don't know what we're paying.
I think there are a lot of us in the room who can name 1 or 2 of the counties that are not going to be prepared for one reason or another. If you see them, kick them in the ass.
All right. Mr. Westbrook and then Mr. Roberts.
So first of all, just want to say kudos on some really good work. Could we scroll back down to that map for just a second? So I see up in the Panhandle where I live, an affiliated since March of 2022, and then one above that. And so what I'm trying to figure out is what counties that's representing.
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you off the map. I know there's a list a little further up of just like textually. Randall and Potter, okay.
Okay,
Cool.
and so my understanding, I thought we had more, which is above that, up where the Dumas area is included.
He mentioned it was his affiliate because he was alone.
Yeah, Nick.
Okay, and Potter has, it just seems like that's kind of, I realized that there was a small gap in there, but Potter had somebody there since 2017 when I first moved there. So there's been activity from Potter County. So is that just because they had that small gap now showing it's newly affiliated?
The previous chair didn't do the county convention process last time. And this is a newly appointed.
There's a gap.
Yes.
There's a one-time gap that it would show newly appointed.
Yeah, so 2 things about this map. The gold counties are everybody that was elected at convention. The green counties are the appointees since, and the 2 orange counties are the processing and pending. So that's kind of how you read this. But the other thing that may be going on here, the textual list above should be accurate. But this map is generated using Bing's AI services, and you put the text in there and it generates it. There are a few places where Bing's AI services could use some improvement. For instance, in the column of all counties, if you put the word Houston, it is sure you mean the city, not the county. And there have been a couple counties that we found like that. And what I usually do on this is I go to the ones I know are messed up and I manually add some more text to make sure the AI knows it's a county. But there could be 1 or 2 in here that it thinks is not a county and didn't highlight it.
And my apologies for not catching that prior to this.
You're good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, as one of the affiliate coordinators, I wanted to just bring up something. This may seem a little bit, I don't know. For example, my SD only comprises 2 counties, which are both affiliate. I know that some of you represent Senate districts that have dozens of counties. I would encourage you to work with those counties that are affiliated, and, you know, it's sort of on us as a body to, if we're wanting to fill in some of those white spaces. You know, like I said, I know geographically, for some of you, it's a wide expanse, and I feel that, but it's, you know, if we look at West Texas, again, Brewster County's been affiliated at times. You know, and, you know, obviously, like you said, Jack, the Panhandle and, you know, South Texas is areas we can reach out to as well. And, you know, anything that we can do to either help those county affiliates to reach out to their neighboring counties, or just, like I said, what I would like to see is the out, you know, when I was talking about outreach before, is the outreach is maybe focus on some of those unaffiliated counties, maybe county fairs, things like that, where they don't prohibit political groups from having a booth or a table or something like that, just to have a presence, not just in places where it aligns with our platform, but just to get out with the general public.
Need to do that in my own county first.
Right.
You know, a quick note, and it's my fault as much as anybody else, so it's not accusatory in any way. One of the reasons we chose to have the order SLEC meeting in El Paso was it's a traditionally underserved kind of area.
Sure.
Were we able to convert that in any way, shape, or form, or was that just in this opportunity we need to be a little more thoughtful? Yeah.
I don't know if I would accurately describe it as a missed opportunity. There was definitely a wide array of opportunities. I know that there was a city council member that came, and while that's not affiliate directed, it was a great opportunity to see some local government down there. I think we definitely capitalized on some opportunities better than others. That said, to answer your question direct to the affiliate team, I'm not sure that we either advertised it as a affiliate your county thing. I'm not aware that we did, nor that we had any affiliates come from that, but I definitely wouldn't call it a wasted opportunity. We capitalized in some other great ways.
I agree with that, but I mean, I'm looking at all the white California, right? I mean, I'll have to got a strong president.
Can I speak?
Yeah, let's let them talk.
That's nothing but desert. There's like Van Horn out there, and, you know, if anyone knows anybody out in those areas, please give me their number. I will contact them.
So what I'm hearing is, if anyone knows any libertarian tumbleweeds, send them our way.
It's an armadillo.
Just quick.
I can't hear.
Just a quick clarification question, because I saw on the top it said, on the very top of the page, it was, 78 counties, and the image is 79. Was it 78 or 79?
Scroll up.
Yeah, it's like right there, 78 typos.
78.
Oh.
Yeah, it's probably a typo in the text up here, because that's a calculated number in the image. So I'm guessing the text is wrong.
Okay, it was just a clarification question.
Any other questions regarding affiliate support?
I forgot to mention this. Anybody who is interested in volunteering at convention, message me. FYI.
Anything else for the affiliate?
You had mentioned affiliate training for conventions was awesome. The slideshow is awesome. That needs to get out to all the affiliates if you haven't sent it out. Yeah, I know it's linked to the page. But these counties that we suspect are gonna drop the ball, do they have candidates that we might wanna reach out to put pressure on them to make sure they got their stuff together?
So there's two things happening in regard to candidates to help alleviate that situation. First of all, the secretary, as part of her, I'm gonna say statutory, but bylaws duties, is she is sending out all the district conventions that have candidates to all the county chairs, and Whitney has appointed a district chair to get those conventions kicked off. But then there are some candidates that are just in counties. We have members of our team who are compiling a fuller list of the candidates and what counties they're in, so we can contact them and say, hey, like, really get your stuff in. Somebody paid, $2,000 or whatever it is for your county. I know part of the issue we have with the counties who don't end up holding convention and going through is they're usually counties that went dark on us. We're not suspecting that any county right now that has a candidate in it is completely going dark. But the problem is, if it does end up those two Venn diagrams overlapping and they're not responding to us, we can send emails, we can call, we can send texts. at some point, we can't force them to respond to us, so.
I was just gonna say that basically, for the people that we know, or for the counties that we know have county candidates, they're active counties. For the ones with districts, there's probably 2 districts out of all of them where it's questionable whether or not the county leadership is leadery enough to get it. But we're working on it.
Yeah, I
The
would
rest
say
of them have other stronger counties that they can.
I think, thank you for clarifying that. We're not necessarily expecting certain counties. We don't have ones in mind that we think are gonna fail us. But historically, it has happened. And I will say that going into 2020, the Big Spring Convention, we lost 50% of our counties during that convention cycle. Just for failure to hold conventions or just dropped off when we didn't know about it. When we implemented this system that John is now overseeing, starting the new term in 2020, by 22, we only lost 2% of our counties. Hopefully, we'll be that number or less. So we can't necessarily have specific ones other than what Anastasia just mentioned, the ones we know are kind of questionable because we don't have a lot of communication with them, but we are working with them specifically, hoping that the 2 most likely to drop that ball won't. So I saw one more hand, Mr. Brown.
Well, I was concerned about State House District 58. There's a real gung-ho candidate named Richard Windman, who paid his filing fee, and that's Johnson County is the main, where he lives. And he was worried that they didn't have an organization, even though there was a chair. And so he even camped out at the chair's house, I think, to get him to make sure that he would, I gave you guys' address on the list. And so he had camped out, he's harassed him to hold the county convention and then the district convention, I think. But I said, Richard, well, you're the one that should then become chair if you're going to be, do that. So hopefully that's all going to happen. But that is a concern if there's a district where it's the main county Johnson and one small county that's not affiliated, to make sure all these conventions are held properly. This is a motivated candidate who paid the fee and is in a 2-way race, but he's nominated properly. So
and I had conversations with him well before it was time to sign up to be a candidate. So he knew going in that this was a potential problem. And he also, I think, was prepared to maybe affiliate the county himself if need be. It ultimately was already affiliated, so it's just a matter of trying to get them connected. So hopefully that one will go off.
One other point, if you happen to know of a county that may have an issue for whatever reason, the only actual statutory duty of the existing CEC is for a member, not necessarily the chair, but a member of the CEC to post notice of time and place of the convention. They can go do that as long as the notice is posted and never show up to convention. And any member of the convention who shows up can walk up to the podium and start the convention. So if you can just get the candidate to convince them to post that notice, they can show up, be a convention of one, nominate themselves, and move on.
Would that be acceptable in Ellis County then for Jeremy Schwab?
So there is it okay? So I've just been informed within the last few minutes that the candidate is the secretary in Ellis County, and therefore he can do that. So we're working on it. All right, anything else for Philip?
I'm hearing a correction.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's if they're running for a county level office, they can hold county convention and nominate themselves. Specifically with something like District 58, Johnson County is District 58 covers more than one county, and so it has to be at district convention. So they would have to go through a couple more steps to actually get all the way to district convention and nominate themselves there.
Yes, but they could ultimately elect themselves to district convention. The only statutory duty still of that district's CEC is to post notice. Once that's done, they could take this process all the way.
Yes,
Perfect.
I have specific concerns about that district and Ellis counties that if we are not able to communicate effectively with them, that they're going to try to nominate their candidates at county convention because they're the only affiliated counties in those districts. And those people, if they try to do that, will not be on the ballot because they will not have been nominated at district convention.
Well, they can,
They gotta wait. So it's just important that we're very clear about that.
Okay.
We gotta go through motions.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of staff reports. That puts us 15 minutes from lunch. I can do the legal report. There's really nothing new to report since the last time I reported to you that we submitted that fourth amended filing. The court has accepted it. There has been no movement on it at this point. There's likely not going to be any movement on it before the convention comes around. And it will be ongoing, especially if we win, because the state, of course, will appeal it. So it could be an ongoing thing if we do win. If we don't win, then it will be up to SLEC to decide whether or not they're going to continue to fight it. And then we'll wait till next year and see what they do to screw us in 25. And then we can regroup and go after them again, however you guys want to proceed with that. So there's nothing new right now. As soon as there is anything new, I will obviously report it to you. So that brings us to just a few minutes before lunch. I am inclined to break for lunch early, reconvene at 1 o'clock, and then continue our agenda with new business. I see some hands up. I saw yours first and then yours.
So I moved to recess for lunch for 90 minutes.
So
How about returning one?
well, no one has seconded it yet. Hold on. Let's see. Go ahead.
I moved to recess until 1 o'clock for lunch.
Second
that.
That'll work.
Is there any objection to that?
Negative.
Okay. Bon appetit.
Not used to using
Jacob,
so much of the time to charge. I'm also the quiet one around here most of the time.